States is currently the world's sole superpower with military installations around the world. As a country, its geography spans from subtropical forests to rolling plains, scorching deserts, and Arctic wastes. But just how big is the US really in comparison to the rest of the world? Hello and welcome to another episode of the Infographics Show. Today, we're taking a look at how big the US really is. The US is approximately 5,680,000 square miles, with terrain that varies dramatically. Only Russia at 10.6 million square miles and Canada at 6,205,000 square miles are larger than the US.
I didn't realize Canada was that big.
Yeah.
I knew it was a big country, but I didn't think it was bigger than the US.
Canada's massive if you look at the world map.
Yeah,
I've been looking at the world map a lot recently.
Yeah, I bet. Because you want to travel a lot.
Its three biggest states, Alaska at 663,000 square miles, Texas at 270,000 square miles, and California at 160,000 square miles, combined would be the 17th largest nation in the world, immediately after Sudan at 1.15 million square miles, and right before Libya at 1 million square miles. In total, the US is larger than the 107 smallest countries in the world combined. With about 327 million people, the United States is also the third most populated nation on Earth, having a total of 4.28% of the total world population. With a net yearly migration rate of approximately 900,000 people, the US is by far the one place the rest of the world wants to live, with Germany coming in second at 350,000 migrants, and Turkey in third with 325,000.
Turkey? I didn't know that.
I never knew that myself.
Loads of people going to Turkey.
Wow.
Migrants. In the US, 83% of the population lives in cities, with its three most populated cities being New York City with 8.5 million people, Los Angeles with 4 million people, and Chicago with 2.7 million people. All combined, the population of the US's three biggest cities is equal to the population of Chad with 14.5 million people. Just these three cities alone are also more populated than Cuba with 11.5 million people, Belgium with 11.3 million people, and Greece with 11.2 million people.
I'm telling you, the US is like 10 countries in one. It's not a joke. They're so massive.
When counting the greater metropolitan area, New York City is the 10th largest city in the world, with a total population of 18.6 million people, just behind Cairo with 18.8 million people, and just ahead of Dhaka with 17.6 million people. This would make the greater New York City area the 63rd largest country in the world, just ahead of Syria with 18 million people. The US is the world's largest economy with a gross domestic product of $20.4 trillion, or 23.3% of the total global economy. China is just behind the US at $14 trillion and 16.1% of the total global economy. When measured by purchasing power parity, or the price of goods and services versus individual incomes, the US comes at number 2 to China, whose GDP PPP is $25.2 trillion. This means that while the Chinese economy is about 30% smaller than the US's, Chinese individuals have on average 20% greater purchasing power in their own country. The three biggest economies within the US states are California with a GDP of $2.6 trillion, Texas with a GDP of $1.6 trillion, and New York with a GDP of $1.5 trillion. Altogether,
Texas is massive.
Yeah.
Do you think that's why they got Buc-ee's there with all that?
Apparently there's more than one Buc-ee's, you know?
Really?
Yeah, people in the comment section taught me that. I thought there was one Buc-ee's, but apparently the Texas one ain't the biggest one. There's a couple.
Oh, really?
Okay. And there's a new one being built or somewhere. I forgot where it was.
You can tell I'm obsessed with Buc-ee's right now.
Yeah, but she found out about Buc-ee's yesterday. That's all I've heard for the last 24 hours.
Together, these three states would be the world's third largest economy, just ahead of Japan with a GDP of $5 trillion. California's economy alone is as big as the United Kingdom's, Texas's is as big as Canada's, and New York's is as big as South Korea's. The United States also has the best equipped military in the world, though it's only the third largest at 1,282,000 active duty personnel. Ahead of it are India with 1.4 million active duty personnel and China with 2.1 million active duty personnel.
Thing is, just because they got more active duty personnel don't mean they're a better military.
It doesn't mean the quality is there.
The quality, the technology, the machinery, the weaponry. We've seen, guys, if you're not seeing it, go watch our military reactions. We learned so much, and America's untouchable, basically.
The US spends over $610 billion on its military every year, or 3.1% of its total GDP, 35% of the world's total military expenditure, and more than the next 9 nations combined.
I'm pretty sure that's old data because the new data was basically $1 trillion.
Oh, I thought so as well.
That's old. I think this is a bit of an old video.
Just behind it are China with $150 billion in expenditures and Saudi Arabia with $76 billion in expenditures. The United States also has the most military bases in the most foreign countries in the world, with approximately 800 military installations in 80 countries, possibly more military bases in more foreign lands than any nation or empire in history.
Wow.
The cost of maintaining these bases alone is about $156 billion, more than China spends on its entire military. On the civilian side, the U.S. has the world's 3rd largest police force, with 913,000 total police officers, placing it just behind India at number 1 with 1.9 million police officers, and China with 1.6 million police officers. In the realm of healthcare, the U.S. is the most expensive nation on Earth, with a health expenditure per capita of $10,350, placing it ahead of Switzerland at $7,900 and Germany at $5,550. While on average the rest of the world spends about 10.3% of its GDP on healthcare, the U.S. spends 18% of its GDP on healthcare. The United States is a large, complex nation, big enough to host several different distinct accents within its own borders. Its people are hardworking and industrious, leading the world's economy. But
I think when we do eventually visit the US, we're going to struggle with that because different states have different accents, and we're trying to travel to different states and experience different things.
I think the main thing we're going to struggle with is they will not
understand us.
Yes, understand us.
Yeah, that could be another issue as well.
Because one of my close friends, she went to America a couple of years ago, and she says water.
Yeah.
And the bartender could not understand her.
Yeah.
My friend had to say water.
Water.
For her to understand.
Well, maybe we could talk slowly, clearly, because our English, our accents are probably very difficult for certain states to understand. I mean, I don't even understand Birmingham people in the UK properly, let alone them US trying to understand British accents. The US size, I knew they're massive, but not that massive. Thoughts?
I can't wait to visit.
Yeah, same. We're going to plan to visit soon. We want to do a visit. That's the thing. Like, when people come to the UK, they come to London and they could literally experience practically 90% of the UK within London in itself. When we come to the US, there's so many states we got to visit.
The UK, you've got Wales, you've got Ireland. It's very different.
I'm saying,
London's city life.
Yeah, but if you got, like, a lot of tourists come just for London. With US, the way it's spread out, like, you can go to Texas and get a sick vibe from Texas, but in order to experience America properly, you got to go to different states. And they're so far from each other. You can take a plane from one state to another. They do flights. That's how far it is. You can't just go.
No. Or you can drive for 30 hours.
Comment below what state we should go first. Like and subscribe, guys. The quicker this channel blows, the quicker we come to the US. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Bye.